Hello, everyone. My name is Sihle Makanya, and I'm a project manager for OpenUp. Welcome to the lightning talk about procurement data. In South Africa, we have a term for entrepreneurs whose sole business is getting tenders from the government. We call them tenderpreneurs. Their business is about charging premium prices for services but provide low quality output. When COVID happened, the South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, announced a range of social and economic measures to the tune of 500 billion rand, at that time about $30 billion, which will be introduced as a stimulus package to counteract the severe impact of the COVID pandemic. So, let's do some simple maths. Urgent plus emergency funds plus tenderpreneurs equals what? Corruption. In his Sixth State of the Nation speech, the South African president discussed the following. He talked about the large scale corruption that had taken place during the pandemic, especially in regards to the acquisition of personal protective equipment, also known as PPE. In saying this, he acknowledged that many lessons have been learned, particularly with regard to vulnerabilities in the times of emergency procurement regulations. As a proactive measure, the National Treasury developed the COVID 19 Treasury Portal, which would give access to government wide COVID 19 transactions. With all this information accessible for monitoring and oversight, why were these transactions still going unnoticed? So, let's look at the National Treasury Dashboard. When reviewing the transactional data on the dashboard, we noticed that there were a number of issues affecting the system's usability and overall functionality. For example, data values were entered on the system in an inconsistent way, therefore, making the cleaning and analysis of the data more challenging. The data was not made downloadable, meaning there was no way of accessing the data in a format such as an Excel spreadsheet. For the non technical person, this had serious implications on their ability to access, interpret, and use the information to make informed and empowered decisions. We therefore decided that intervention was necessary to explore possible solutions to the challenges being experienced. We found that there was a lack of usable data and visualization tools available that could be used to analyze the spending of public money on COVID 19 related transactions. This meant that watchdog organizations, journalists, citizens, and even government entities were not able to make clear sense of the data presented, with many reverting back to reports as their main source of information, as the dashboard was challenging to use. Our assumptions was that by providing information in an easy to use and downloadable format, we would be able to improve the way that people were accessing this information, therefore having a positive impact on the way in which citizens could track the spending of public money. So, what made us so well positioned to provide assistance? And that's where the big difference between us and the general public is. Our organization specialize in working with data. Let's just say we eat, drink, sleep data, which means we have well established processes and procedures in place to work with the most tricky of data sets. Through the hard work of our expert data wranglers and development team, we started building our own COVID 19 dashboard. And so Keep the Receipts tool was born. Keep the Receipt was our answer to the problem. We believed that if we were able to build a simplified portal that procurement data could be kept and downloaded directly from, that citizens and officials would make use of this platform. In simple terms, our goal was to make the data available by improving its usability. When developing the Keep the Receipts tool, it was essential for the product success to make sure that the tool's outputs and features clearly address the problems we were looking to solve. By improving the usability of the procurement data, our assumption was that we were enhancing the ability for interested parties to perform monitoring and other watchdog activities. We collaborated with numerous stakeholders to build out the data repository to build the tool. It was not easy, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Through these collaborations, we learned the value of reaching out to partners working in the space to see what challenges they are facing and what data they are currently working on and their needs to address these problems. You know that line that Kevin Costner said in the movie called Fields of Dreams? If you build it, they will come. Our assumptions were completely wrong. The uptake of users was extremely slow. It was at this point we knew that we needed to find a community of people who wanted to use this portal. From here, we placed emphasis on creating a community of users who are engaging with procurement data. Collaborating with partners. To spread the word about this fantastic new tool, we reached out to various online media houses who already had well-established reader base. Through these collaborations, we co-authored articles where the goal was to provide data evidence to their publications that were being developed on the spending of public money on PPE supplies. By discussing our challenges openly with those closest to the problem, we discovered that although we had designed a platform that could allow for this data to be better monitored, many of the potential users still required assistance putting together their data stories. So, how did we pivot? Community collaboration was an important part of the pivoting process. By talking with target users and partners, we learned how best to meet their needs. This led us to design and build online training content. But this time, we learned to speak to the users first. We did this by designing interactive workshops to expand on participants' data literacy skills and receive user feedback. By designing our training through our experience gained in the workshop, the goal was to grow the community of people able to access and use data, or at least remind people the importance of keeping their receipts. Thank you very much.